upon your optional subject. So let me help you guys, like 5 to 10 minutes in deciding upon how to choose an optional subject, because it's one of the most common question we get from the students, when we meet them, especially the beginners. So how do I choose my optional subject, right? So it need not be done in a very random way, like you ask some random akka or anna, or watch some, again, even more random YouTube videos. You really don't know who that person is, you really don't know their authenticity. So there is some amount of scientific way of selecting your optional subject. On that lines, I would suggest you have to give 30% weightage. 30% weightage you have to give to the success rate of the optional. Let's say just check what is the success rate of this particular optional. Then rest of the 30% weightage, 30% weightage you have to give to your personal liking. Okay, sometimes picking an optional subject just because first ranker cleared with this optional subject, or just because someone told that this is a good optional which is working. No, you also should have some amount of personal liking, because you have to travel with it, right, for around 1.5 2 years. For that you need that discipline, you need that seriousness. Unless you have that personal liking, many a times it might not, what do you call, help you, to remain focused. Another 30% weightage, you also have to give to faculty. Some of you may be thinking, why faculty? Let's accept most of you or none of you here would have done your undergraduate in anthropology. In fact, even I got to know that there is something called as anthropology only after completion of my MBBS. Like 99% of the faculties are anyone who is in this anthropology coaching ecosystem are not anthropologists as such. At least I don't know anyone. Maybe after we might be doing our post graduations in anthropology out of academic interest. That's a different thing. So these are slightly technical in nature. When I'm saying technical in nature, it's not difficult, it's unfamiliar. There is a lot of difference between what is difficult and what is unfamiliar. Anything unfamiliar, someone has to familiarize you. It's not at all about difficulty, right? So it's not about difficulty, it's about familiarization. So that familiarization, if you get from someone authentic, someone who has produced results, or someone's teaching style matches your temperament, matches your seriousness, that would definitely help you, to getting into that final result a little more faster than others. That's the point I am trying to say. So 30% to the faculty, and another 10% weightage you have to give to post-coaching support system. Post-coaching support system. ENT, what is this post-coaching support system? Post-coaching support system, I meant, it's not that once you're done with your classes, it's done. Classes are about teaching, helping you to take notes, helping you to be introduced to the basics of answer writing, getting a good grip of previous year questions. This is what happens in a classroom program. But there is a journey from the end of your classroom program till you get a rank. So what is that journey about? The journey is about value addition material, more serious answer writing, advanced content, advanced level answer writing in such a way that you get yourself exam ready, not just get yourself exam ready, you clear the examination. So that 10% post-coaching support system also is important before you choose an optional subject. So now it's my responsibility to tell you, or rather convince you, why anthropology satisfies most of this criteria. Again, at the end of the day, see, some of you who have already decided, for you, like it's an easy choice. Those who are still on the fence, optional A, optional B, optional C, optional D, like that, for those this should definitely be of help. So success rate wise, some of you must be already aware, anthropology has the highest success rate among all the optional subjects. Especially in Hyderabad, it's not at all an exaggerated claim, or at least I can say over the last 5 years, I've actively produced ranks. With it, I can say 90% of all the ranks, 90, no, 80% of all the ranks in Hyderabad are with anthropology only. Only 10, 20% are with probably a little bit of PSR, little bit of geography, little bit of sociology. That's it. Bad and or very rarely one or two stray ranks. Otherwise, largely 80% of the ranks in Hyderabad are with anthropology optional subject. So success rate wise, yes, anthropology has the highest success rate. I can confidently say there is no near competitor also for anthropology optional subject by ranks wise. Personal liking, this is something you have to travel with. So I can suggest what to do regarding this personal liking. Just watch some lectures. You understand my point? I'll also be conducting some lectures before our regular classes start. I'll also do a couple of lectures to orient you towards anthropology. That might possibly help you, to arrive at, this is my optional subject with which I can confidently travel. And this excites me, and this has a lot of interesting content, interesting ideas, is something which you have to nurture, for which you have to put some time. Maybe 5 to 10 hours of time, then decide upon yourself whether you have that personal liking or not. Then comes, of course, as I said, Sir Manjunath sir has rightly said, I've produced the highest number of ranks in Hyderabad, not just in anthropology. I just don't boast about myself much by marketing and all, but I can say I have the highest number of ranks in anthropology, not just in anthropology, in other subjects also. Last year, mine is the highest number of ranks. Previous year, mine is the second highest number of ranks. I don't buy ranks, okay? I get authentic ranks. I cleared exam myself, so obviously serious people will gravitate to me. You just have to Google Dr. Vivekananda anthropology. You have hell a lot of testimonials. Let me not make any fake claims. You can check for yourself. You see all those testimonials, then you would realize. Okay, so let's not get into that much. It's not also appropriate to boast much about me. Yeah, then my teaching temperament and all, like you can sit for a couple of sessions, you will understand whether you will fit to my style of teaching or not. Right now, post-coaching support system. Post-coaching support system is also very, very important. I can tell this. Some optional subjects in Hyderabad do not have good test series at all. There are good number of students belonging to that particular optional subject, but that optional subject rarely produces ranks from Hyderabad. Reason being, there is no authentic mentoring system, time-tested or established mentoring system, wherein regular conduct of test series, sitting with students firsthand and getting copies evaluated, and that too mains level copies evaluation is not an easy skill. Someone who is doing that should have authenticity, should be really updated to the current trends, should have good amount of knowledge that is, exam specific. Again, knowledge in the sense it's not a lot of academic knowledge which might not be of much help. So yes, post-coaching support system wise or mentoring ecosystem wise, also anthropology has that distinctive advantage when compared to any of the optional subjects. Right? I hope I have addressed this first part of the discussion, that how to choose an optional subject, and also my responsibility to convince you the what's happening with anthropology in Hyderabad. Right? Now, after this, I'll be taking questions from you also, but before that, I know some of the common questions which students ask, especially in these kind of orientation sessions. I myself will take some of the questions and I try to address them for you. At the end, if there are any other questions from your side, any other concerns, I'll be more than happy to address them, right? The first thing students ask, how much time this optional subject will take to complete? So how much time does this optional subject requires for its completion? So here, for anthropology, I would be requiring anywhere between 4 to 4.5 months. And by the time of completion of your classes, you can expect from me a good command over entire optional subject, a decent notes, a fallback notes, wherein you know where to start. Like any topic, the biggest concern for most of the students is where to start. I'm done with the syllabus, I'm done with the coaching. Many students come to me and ask, sir, how should I start now? If that question comes to you, which means you have not done your class as well. I'll not say someone who has taught has done your class as well. You have not understood the importance of the classroom program. So for anthropology, what I'll try to do is by end of the coaching, you all will have one basic notes to start with. Let's say for any given topic, there are 25 to 30 points at the maximum you can take from any possible source. You will have at a maximum of 25 to 30 topics. Not less than 15 to 20 topics I'll be teaching in the class. You may be thinking, sir, why not 25 to 30? Why not 25 to 30? One possible reason, anyone have 250 to 300 hours. Nowhere in the country, like nobody will take more than 250 to 300 hours of classes. Within that time, even if we make completely fullest or optimal utilization of our time, that much of the content we can cover. Rest of the content will be there as part of your material also. Whatever material we give or handouts we give covers that part of the material also, and PYQs also will cover rest of the content. So the point I am trying to say, it will take around 4 to 4.5 months, and you will have a proper base content or base source for which from which you can further improve upon or develop on your preparation. So I hope I made it clear. 4 to 4.5 months is what you need to get a decent mastery over optional subject. Again, there is some journey which you have to traverse from that the point of completion or clearing of your prelims to the mains. That part, that 90 days is very intense, very rigorous, very serious preparation, wherein that additional 10% content, more value added content, more dynamic content we will be providing. Of course, for classroom students, anthropology mains test series, I'll be taking the moment you clear your prelims and come to us, your anthropology mains test series is our responsibility. Okay, you need not even think about it. Don't even entertain about anthropology. If you clear your prelims with anthropology and you are writing mains with us, then we'll be more than happy to go to any extent to help you guys in clearing that mains phase of the examination. Okay, so let me not make any over promises here. That is something very basic any one of us will do. Right. Then the next common misconception, or I can say the kind of misinformation or misconception that runs around anthropology is anthropology is biology dense. This, again, according to me, is a sheer nonsense. There is nothing. The amount of biology you read in your biotechnology part of the science and technology, your science and technology faculty would probably be teaching you, that is many times is not less than 2 to 3 times more. You understood my point? Because if you see UPSC General Studies mains question paper, science and technology question paper, the question they have asked, performance enhancing drugs or pharmacogenomics, personalized medicine, these are the kind of question they're asking in general studies. That is, in fact, they asked a question on 3-parent baby or mitochondrial DNA. When compared to that level of genetics or biology which you do as part of your biotechnology, what you have in anthropology is only 1/3 of that. And even the coverage wise also, the biology is only 1/5 of the whole syllabus. Biology is only 1/5. That also you should not call biology. That is more of socio-cultural anthropology embedded into biological understanding. I'll tell one simple example. You can decide on yourself whether it is biology or not. I read this concept very recently, probably 3-4 months ago. This is a concept given by someone called Nancy Scheper-Hughes. About her we will talk in the regular class. The concept is like this: medicalization of social pathologies. Medicalization of social pathologies. The term might seem a bit not so familiar, but it's not at all a difficult idea. Social pathologies and how social pathologies are medicalized. Pathology means disease. Okay, pathology is disease, nothing difficult. Social pathology means diseases of the society. How diseases of the society are labeled as the individual's medical problems. How Diseases of the society. You may be thinking, what is this diseases of the society? I'll give one simple example. I'm sure all of you would have heard about this ADHD. These days, everywhere in the newspapers, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Young kids are suffering from this attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The incidence is growing. Reason is very simple. Kids are excessively consuming the digital content, isn't it? Kids are spending disproportionate amount of time on mobile phones or tablets, or screen time has substantially got enhanced. Because of the fact that screen time has got substantially enhanced, they are suffering from certain conditions, and there is a tendency to label that medical condition as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. It's you not remember this ADHD also. The point I am trying to convince you is, the reason why ADHD is increasing is not always medical reason. It is because parents got busy, parents don't have time for the kid, parents are not allowing, or sometimes kids themselves are not going and playing in the grounds, and they are spending a great amount of their times on the screens. They are suffering from these kind of medical conditions. But look what state is doing. State means, the government. They are trying to put the onus or put the responsibility on the individual, saying that this individual has a disease. In reality, the disease is not of the individual. The disease is not of the individual. The disease is because of the society's inability to take care of this particular individual, because society kept their parents busy. Parents are running after money. Parents are running after their career. Parent does not have sufficient time for their own children. As they don't have sufficient time for their own children, obviously the kids end up facing all these kind of medical conditions. So the medical conditions, something which society is not able to take care, society is putting that responsibility on the individual. You understood my point? So that is called as medicalization, means putting medical branding something as a medical issue, in reality which is a social issue. It's inability of the society, it's the failure of economy and failure of the society to cater to the requirements of the individual. You got my point? The reason I try to touch upon this concept, because I have read it recently. Largely, these are the kind of things you study as part of the biological anthropology. So it's not like pure genetics, nothing. Why would anthropologists study genetics? No, anthropologists study genetics because it will help them in better understanding the society. Okay, so you all should have that picture perfect clarity that there is not much biology to do in anthropology. And let's come to something more specific. Let's say this year, rank 55. Srujana, she has taken mentorship program from me the previous year, and rank 144, Abhishek Singh. That guy has taken test series 2 consecutive years. Then 178, Lakshmi Rachana, 193, Prachet. Okay, these 4 ranks just below 200. Not even one student has any medical background or any biology background. First girl, 55th ranker, engineering background, 144 engineering background, 178 engineering background, 193. There is, I think this year out of 9 ranks with anthropology, there is only 1 rank, that is some 940 rank. That girl is a doctor. The rest of them, all of them are like engineering grads. I'll start with the very first year I got rank. 15th rank, 28th rank. 15th rank also is student of AKS IAS, right? Yashwant. He's an engineering grad. He's from Karnool Pullareddy Engineering College. 28th rank, Maurya Bharadwaj again. He's from NIT Warangal, engineering graduate. So the point I am trying to say, 90 to 95% of the ranks, at least I got from anthropology, are somebody from non-biology background. I can just count on fingers, probably 2-3 people who would have cleared with anthropology optional with medical background or biology background. So even in remotest corner of your mind, if you have this confusion or misconception that anthropology and biology, there is a little more of biology, no, get out of it at the earliest possible time, right? Now let's get into understanding a bit of what exactly is this anthropology. Okay. So anthropos, it's nothing but study of humans. Anthropos means humans. Logos is nothing but study. So anthropology is nothing but study of humans. Some of you may be thinking, what's that? What is that? Study of humans. Humans is a very open thing, right? What aspect of humans does this anthropology actually study? Is one common doubt anyone will get, especially in the orientation sessions. Humans means, what is human? Human is like everything, right? So that's the beauty of anthropology. Anthropology touches upon almost all the important aspect of humans. Okay, and there are four major branches of anthropology which actually anthropologists try to study. First, keep taking down some notes. Sociocultural anthropology. Then, okay, let's put it as physical anthropology. Physical anthropology. Within physical anthropology, you again have biological anthropology and evolutionary anthropology. Then archaeological anthropology, linguistic anthropology. These are actually the four broad disciplines of anthropology. Okay, but our syllabus is designed in a slightly different way. UPSC syllabus is designed slightly in a different way. I'll come to that. But broadly, sociocultural anthropology, evolutionary anthropology, physical anthropology, archaeological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, these are some of the broad lines within anthropology. I'll just start with evolutionary anthropology to give you some understanding. In the regular classes, I show a lot of images. I'm not very familiar with this board, so today I could not share any images. Otherwise, in my regular classes, on an average, for every chapter, I'll be displaying not less than 200 to 250 images. You will get to know that. Now, what is evolution? Have you heard this term, evolution? Evolution. We all have evolved, right? Humans have evolved. And we have this curious question like, when did human first appear on this planet? Did God create us? Or we have evolved on our own? If we have evolved, evolution means change. If we have evolved, from whom we have evolved from? Are we still evolving? I'm sure some of you would have seen this very peculiar, very popular image of humans evolving from monkeys that is seen everywhere. Like, you know, that particular image of humans evolving from monkeys. We all have this curiosity in general, like, did we really evolve from monkeys? If so, when did we evolve from monkeys? Why did we evolve from monkeys? All these are, you know, generally the content you see in what do you call Netflix web series, or these are the kind of content. But the beauty of anthropology, especially the evolutionary anthropology tries to give us compelling evidences and further enhances our curiosity. Of course, it tries to establish beyond doubt that we have evolved. We have evolved. We all have started somewhere as one single celled organism, and we have evolved, or we have arrived at this particular place. That is the subject matter of evolutionary anthropology. And one of the most interesting part in anthropology, according to me, is this evolutionary anthropology. Now, after evolutionary anthropology, another important thing we have is this socio-cultural anthropology. Socio-cultural anthropology. What do you see in this socio-cultural anthropology? Just now, while mentioning about evolutionary anthropology, I have highlighted the idea that evolutionary anthropology is about understanding origin of humans, is about understanding origin of humans and how humans have evolved over time. Sociocultural anthropology, another interesting component of anthropology, is concerned about how various social institution, the term social institution is new to you, that I'll be doing in the regular class, but you all know what social institutions are without being aware of the term called as social institution. Marriage, family, kinship, religion, economic organization, political organization, economic organization, political organization. These are all various social institutions. In Indian context, we can also say caste as a type of social institution. So we will try to study when the idea called as marriage first started, when something called as family first started, when religion first started. Okay? Does humans have this idea called as religion from the very beginning? You understood my point? I'm saying we all have evolved over time. Then in that case, when we as beings itself has evolved, then when did religion first start? Anthropology tries to answer some of these questions. I'll give one simple narrative. Try to listen. Anthropology says some 8,000 to 10,000 years from now, 8,000 to 10,000 years ago from now, humans have taken up something called as agriculture. And because of this agriculture, which is nothing but domestication of plants. Before that, there is nothing like domestication of plants. Before that, we are all hunters and gatherers. We used to hunt wild animals, do a little bit of fishing, and gathering of the food. Gathering of the food means, what is gathering of the food? Gathering fruits, berries, nuts, whatever is available, people used to gather and eat. So the whole day is about eating food only, right? It's all about waking up, foraging. Foraging means looking in search of food, eating food. When entire energies are focused on just one aspect, that is getting food, try to understand. From that phase, around, as I said, 8,000, 10,000 years ago from now, humans for the first time have domesticated plants, which means humans have taken up agriculture. And with agriculture, what happened is, there appeared surplus. Surplus means what? More than what we need. For the first time ever in the course of human evolution, humans experience something called as surplus. Surplus means we have more than what we need. Now, when we have more than what we need, what would happen? The question would arise. So there is more than what we need, means how to redistribute this? We have more than what we need. So how to redistribute this? Then who should redistribute this? Would this question arise? Only when there is surplus, when there is nothing surplus, everybody will be happy with what they have. Okay, I'm getting in search of food. I got food. I ate food. End of the day, wake up next day, nothing like that. So same cycle gets repeated often. When you have surplus, you get this question: how should I redistribute? And who should redistribute? And this somebody who is thinking of how to redistribute should also evolve specific criteria on how to redistribute. You understood my point? That is the beginning of politics. What does a politician do even now? There is only one major thing a politician does even today. Politician does redistribution of the resources. The whole purpose of a politician is redistributing the resources. Society has resources. What they do sitting in a parliament or sitting in state assemblies, they redistribute resources to people, and as they are redistributing, they'll try their best to be just. Just means on some just principles, means without doing injustice to anyone, they will try to distribute the resource in a best possible way. And the whole discussion would start only when there is surplus, which means we don't need or we don't have anything like politics before 8,000, 9,000 years ago. So with domestication of plants, with agriculture only, we started experiencing surplus. For the first time with surplus only, we have this beginning of a political system. So that is how the origin of the political system we try to understand. Then who should redistribute? Okay, this guy will decide upon how to redistribute. Then someone has to redistribute. Who is that someone that is redistributing? Civil servants. Isn't it? What is the whole job of civil servants? Politicians makes laws. Civil servants are all about executing those laws. So probably some kind of bureaucracy also started, or some kind of civil servant kind of system, institutional mechanism also started around 8,000, 10,000 years ago. Now, as I said, there are only one type of people previously. It's all about getting food. There are no gradations or strata. All are same. Now look, there are two people who are slightly above us. They're slightly above us. We have accepted their authority because they are redistributing resources to us. So we have put these two segments of people one level above us. You understood my point? And this is how there is a beginning of social stratification. Stratification means this some layered arrangement of society. There is A, there is B, there is C, there is D. We are saying that, oh, D is redistributing resources, or D is having the authority to redistribute the resources. C is actually redistributing the resources. Let us give them little more authority. Let us give them little more respect. So we are trying to create this social strata. Now there is surplus. When do you guys start thinking about, let me sing, let me dance, let me paint, let me do, something creative? If your whole day you are just about getting food, do you have time to think about leisure? Generally, no. You understand my point? You want to be creative only when you have some leisure. When you don't have leisure, you don't even get that thoughts. Now what happened with surplus, which means my food is taken care. My food is taken care. I need not work whole day. There are a few hours of time left for me, or there are a few days left for me in a week. Someone would have started dancing, someone would have started painting, someone would have started singing, someone would have done. Then suddenly, art forms also started proliferation. Means people now got leisure, right? With leisure, people now got into art forms. You understood the logic behind that? So art forms started, then society started to reward. Oh, this guy is dancing well. Let us reward him more. Let us give him more resources. Somebody is acting well. Somebody is dancing well. Oh, this is a skill I don't have. This is a skill this guy have. In reality, the guy has developed that skill probably because he has leisure, or he made good use of his leisure. So social stratification got further strengthened, isn't it? Even in the present society, don't you think we kind of value little more people who are in the arts, probably film actors or singers, dancers, painters, or other aspects of the society. People who are good at art forms are slightly respected more. Another reason why social stratification is further increasing. Now, what is the most valued in the society? Surplus is most valued in the society. Simple logic, commonsensical understanding. When do I get surplus? I get surplus only when agriculture is doing well. When agriculture does well when everything is nature is normal. Normal rains, no excessive rains, no floods, or no droughts or famine-like conditions. I want everything to be normal, natural. But there are some years when it rains more than what I want. There are some years where there are no rains at all, which means nature is something very important that determines the surplus. Nature determines the surplus. But the human ingenuity means humans' ability to think at that point of time is not sufficient to explain the natural phenomenon. I'll say it again, listen carefully. We want to understand nature. We want to explain the nature. Why is it raining? Why is it not raining? Why is it flooding? Why the forest fires are coming? We want explanations. But the maturity of the human mind at that point of time, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 years ago, is not sufficient to explain the natural phenomenon. We do not have a solid scientific base. So humans started looking upward. Supernatural. We started believing in supernatural. So what is this belief in supernatural called as? Religion. Isn't it? In the present times, the belief in supernatural is nothing but religion. So probably this is how religion also started. You understood my point? Religion started. Politics have started. Administration has started. Social stratification has started. Art forms began. Belief in supernatural, that is religion, has began at certain point of time in the course of human evolution. So all these things can be traced back to something called as surplus. So like this, in sociocultural anthropology, what we try to understand is origin of all these social institutions like marriage, family, kinship, political organization, religion, religious organization, all these kind of things. We will also try to understand how they evolved over time. We will understand how they evolved over time. Some of you may be thinking, what is this? How they evolved over time? When we have started as humans, there is nothing like marriage. It is just promiscuity. Promiscuity means group of men, group of women. There is nothing like one husband, one wife, their children. No, we do not have such a scenario. What we have is promiscuity. Promiscuity. From there, from promiscuity, that state of promiscuity to, we know the current state. What is the current state? In current state, we can say it as a nuclear family. Nuclear family means father, mother, couple of children. Just before this nuclear family, joint families or extended families were relatively more common. And now evolving trends like live-in relationships, also over the last 1 decade, live-in relationships have become more common. And even another evolving trend in the contemporary times is sologamy. Sologamy means people are preferring to remain single. They do not want to marry. They do not want to. So these are all the evolving trends. These are all evolving trends. Isn't it? Last week I read somewhere I think in some anthropology related magazine only. In South Korea, there is this evolving trend of 4B movement. 4B. 4B movement. It's a type of feminist movement. Feminist movement. And this 4B movement, it is taken by the feminist scholars. What they're advocating: no man, no family, no children, no sex. It is, they believe that, this feminist scholars believe that the very fact that women are getting exploited is because of the fact that they are associated with something called as family. And these feminist scholars believe that all oppression of women begins with family. And they believe that something called as family is created by men. The institution called as family is created by men who are physically slightly more powerful gender to continue unabated exploitation of women who are physically relatively less powerful than men. You understood my point? This 4B movement says, so women should get rid of men, women should get rid of family, women should get rid of sex, women should get rid of children. These are the source of exploitation of women is the idea behind this feminist movement called as 4B movement. So like this, we will try to see how things are evolving over time. In religion also, we are seeing evolving trends, newer kind of trends. In family, we are seeing these kind of evolving trends. Economic organization, political organization, everywhere we are seeing how the society is evolving. That also forms the subject matter of sociocultural anthropology. Sociocultural anthropology also is interested in the understanding of human diversity. Human diversity. Diversity means what? Variety. There is a lot of variety, isn't it? Are you aware there are some societies in which there is polyandry? Polyandry means one female marrying many males. There are some tribal societies. Like that, there are societies with polygyny. Polygyny, one man marrying many women. And there are no such societies, but just 5-6 decades ago, there are societies in which group marriages are common. Group marriages means group of men marrying group of women. So this sort of diversity also is something we will try to appreciate. And there are many religions. For us, religion means Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, Judaism. You know, these are the world religions, no doubt popular religions. But there are many societies in which we have religions which are other than these 6 religions. You understood my point? It's not that we will study those religions. We will try to appreciate the fact that there is a lot of diversity in the human society, even with regards to religion. I'll give one simple example. There is something called as Nagoba Jatara that happens in Adlabad, northern part of the Andhra Pradesh. People believe this Nagoba Jatara is not originally a traditional Hindu festival. It was a tribal festival to start with, wherein certain tribal gods used to be worshipped. But because of the fact that the tribals you must be aware, have come in contact with the mainstream, the Nagoba Jatara has lost its original tribal nature, original tribal character, and Nagoba Jatara has become more of a Hindu kind of festival. This is documented by anthropologists. In regular class, we will talk in more detail and depth about it. The point I am trying to highlight is very simple. There is a lot of diversity in all the social institutions, like I have listed now, across the human societies, and that is what the subject matter of sociocultural anthropology. It's very interesting part of the anthropology, right? Now, that will take me to the next important part. Another important segment of anthropology, that is linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology, the name itself is suggestive. Linguistic means language. Language. Linguistic anthropology, essentially the subject matter is same. It tries to understand the origin of language and how language has evolved over time and why there is so much diversity in human language across the world. Isn't it? Why across the world? Let's take our Telugu states. Aren't there so many varieties of dialects? Telangana has one type of dialect, Coastal Andhra has one type of dialect, Rayalaseema has one type of... Even within Rayalaseema, you have many sub-dialects. isn't it? So linguistic anthropology is about understanding these ideas like when did language take its origin, how language evolved over time, and why language, there is a lot of diversity, and also there is diversity in language. Simple, men and women also speak in a different way, isn't it? Think calmly. By talking to someone in a neutral way, let's say we do not, of course the pitch is different, let's assume even the pitch is neutralized using some AI tool. By listening often, can we tell that it could probably be a female voice or a male voice? We can tell, because naturally also the speaking styles of men and women are different. I'll tell one beautiful anthropological understanding for this. There is a reason why the language style differs in men and women. One is obviously the attitude of the society towards women. You all must have heard this term patriarchy. Patriarchy means male authority. Patriarchy is male dominance or male authority. Let's take our own Telugu or Kannada or most of the South Indian languages. Let's say, what do we say? If I say the chair is broken, what do we say in Telugu? Kurchi virigi poyindi. We will not say virigi poyadu. Isn't it? Why? Because object and female are treated the same way. There is an element of objectification embedded within the language, wherein this element of discrimination of women is there very much as a part of our language. Very simple. Let's say if you want to abuse your friend, you picked up a fight and you want to abuse someone. What are the terms we prefer to use? Female terms only, right? Like you abuse their female family members is the way you abuse, which means abuse is related to like that. So like this discrimination is embedded in the language. That is one part of it. Other part of it, why probably this difference occurs or why probably this difference is developed, it's like this. Let's say this is one hypothesis. It's not that it is the only reason. Observe the games, childhood games. Across all the world societies, childhood games, boys and girls play different types of games. If you notice the kind of games the girls plays, they play in a closed room kind of surroundings predominantly, or in the courtyards or in the proximity to the home. And the kind of games which girls are encouraged to play or girls play are like this. They have a lot of scope for personal interaction. They are not like it's a big ground, they are located distant apart. The proximity is very common in most of the games that girls play. And girls play involves a lot of communication also. I don't know, there are some games, I can't recall the names of it. Let's take, you all would have played in your childhood. The kind of games the girls play are more intimate or more physical proximity, involve a lot of communication, conversation. Whereas the kind of games boys play, if you observe, there is a lot of proximity, distance. And who is valued more? Whoever is more assertive, whoever is more authoritative, whoever is more commanding while playing game, we look up to such people. While playing sports, somebody who is authoritative, somebody who is assertive, someone who can give a command, and someone who tries to lead, these are the people who are more valued, and these are the ones who are treated like role models in general, and everyone tries to imitate such people because we assume that it is the leadership quality. So that is how, right from the way we means as a society we have devised our childhood games also determines the nature of or the speaking styles. You understood my point? So like this linguistic anthropology is all about understanding those ideas that creates difference in the speaking style, that creates difference in the language diversity likewise. I'll give another very exciting example. There is one tribe called as Hopi tribe. It's somewhere in the Pacific. These tribal groups, Hopi group, they don't have something called as idea of time. Or to be a little more precise, their idea of time is not linear like us. Linear means what is our idea of time? Past, present, future. Whenever we talk, we clearly distinguish isn't it? Whatever is past, we have some other different types of terminology. Present, we have different way of describing. Future, we have different way of describing. But in Hopi language, this past, present, future thing is not very strict. In other words, for them, time is not very important. Assume in our life, if there is nothing like time, how peaceful our life would be. Waking up, coming to class on time. Look, I felt so guilty that I have to come 20 minutes late to the class. Cab wasn't booked on time. All these things do happen. So the point I am trying to say, assume a life without time. Hopi people, when Americans tried to introduce time to them, they said we don't need time. Because you Americans or Europeans have the concept of time like a rabbit, you keep running from place to place. There is no peace in your life. So they feel, leave us alone. We don't want to get into your style wherein you are constantly chasing time. Probably they are living more peaceful life than us. There is another beautiful example I'll give. This is in our own Telugu state. There are a tribal group called as Chenchus. These are in the Nalmala forest regions, and this research is done by one of the scholars of Hyderabad Central University. When these scholars have visited, they tried, it's not very recent, probably 2-3 decades before, they tried to teach Chenchus numbers. Chenchus said, we have 10 fingers. God has given 10 fingers. We don't have to learn anything more than this. God gave 10 fingers. Why should I learn more than 10? They believe if we need more than this 10, greed starts, isn't it? Our whole life is about numbers, right? You all want to get a single digit rank, double digit rank, or probably people want to buy 2 houses, 3 houses, probably have 4 cars, 5 cars. It's all about numbers. Or have this much of bank balance. Assume you don't know numbers and you don't value numbers. Life is probably much more peaceful, much more happy, isn't it? So it's all about that. So our language determines our thoughts, or at least language influences our thoughts. If we do not even have such a thing in our language, that we don't have idea of numbers, we don't have idea of time, that substantially influences the way we think. So these are the kind of discussion we have in linguistic anthropology. Again, very exciting component of the anthropology syllabus, right? That will take me to the next part. Archaeological anthropology. Archaeological anthropology also has a substantial overlap with your history. Your history faculty also will teach you a lot of archaeological anthropology, but we will also teach archaeological anthropology. Archaeological anthropology. The name itself is suggestive. I'm sure some of you would have already heard this term archaeology. It's not very unfamiliar to you. So archaeological anthropology tries to study artifacts. That's a little more sophisticated way of saying it. Let me put it in a more simple way. It's about study of that part of culture which is called as material culture. See, human culture has 2 things, material culture and non-material culture. Material means everything we can touch. Everything we can touch, everything we can feel is the material culture. Archaeological anthropology is about understanding how the tools have evolved over time. Tools means what type of tools humans are using and how tools have evolved over time. These are the kind of things we study. Like when we are doing hunting and gathering, do we need sophisticated tools? No. Simple stones would suffice. From that level, we have come to this period where we need domestication of plants, domestication of animals. Don't you think we need slightly more evolved kind of tools? When we take up domestication, we need slightly different kind of tools. Some of you may be thinking, isn't this a boring wherein we just study how tools have come evolved over time. No, it's just more than tools. It has a lot of beautiful analysis associated with it. I'll tell you, this is another a popular quotation of a anthropologist by name Marvin Harris. Marvin Harris says this. Will you agree with me that plow is a tool? You heard plow? Where do we use plow? Plow is used in agriculture for plowing purposes. Marvin Harris comes up with this opinion. Plow is the enemy of women. Understand that. Plow is the enemy of women. Why he says this? You may be thinking this is tool. What a tool has to do with the women? Marvin Harris has a beautiful explanation for this. Marvin Harris says, plow is heavy. Plow is heavy, and initial days plows are made out of stone. Plows are made out of stone, and later date when metal has come like copper, further iron, they are made of plows, but plows are heavy. Plows are not easy for women to use, and plows men only can use with, men can use plows relatively easier when compared to women. Before that, there is no strict identification that men superior, women inferior kind of thing is not there. But when plows started to be introduced into the economic activity, men are capable of using plows effectively, more aggressively, more efficiently. So men started to contribute more to the economic activity. And the society is such that whoever contributes more to the economic activity will be valued more. That is what the society, I'm not saying it is correct, but that is how the society functions. That is how the society runs. So Marvin Harris says this tool called as plow, which entered the society, has altered the societal equation in such a way that it has permanently created stratification in the society, wherein one gender has got more value, one gender has got more authority when compared to the other gender. So don't think that archaeological anthropology is just about lower Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic, upper Paleolithic, how tools have evolved over time. We also study that, but it's more than that. More than that in the sense it helps in understanding how this differences, this change in the material culture also has impacted various social institutions or various aspects of the society. You got my point? Largely this is what you can expect in archaeological anthropology, which is about the study of our material culture. I'll give one simple example. What is the current society? What is the major tool in the current society? It's largely internet. Of course, go one level deeper. Fourth industrial revolution is what we are all in. What is fourth industrial revolution? Fourth industrial revolution is all about cyber physical systems. Isn't it? Most of you must be engineering graduates here. Cyber physical systems means we are extensively using artificial intelligence, big data analytics, isn't it? Edge computing, whatnot, augmented reality, virtual reality, blockchain technology, Internet of Things. These are the kind of technologies which are dominating existing cyber physical system ecosystem, which is nothing but a fourth industrial revolution world. Ask yourself a fair and straight question. These technologies, are they differentiating men and women? Actually, no. Both of them are equally capable of using this technology. So probably one differential access to technology which has created stratification in the society is now largely replaced with newer kinds of technology which does not differentiate access to men and women. So probably that could be the reason why now women empowerment is happening with much more faster pace, or happening in much more accelerated way when compared to that of the past. So the point I'm trying to say is we can also apply a lot of anthropology to the contemporary times or to the contemporary world for us to get a better understanding. Okay, so yeah, I'll just take 5 more minutes of time. So this is broadly the broad components of the anthropology syllabus, but in our syllabus what they did is they did not do syllabus breakup like this strictly. They have included these topics: archaeological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, sociocultural anthropology, evolutionary anthropology, but what they did is they made it into four subparts. Like in paper 1, they have given sociocultural anthropology, linguistic anthropology, evolutionary anthropology, physical anthropology. In paper 2, they gave Indian anthropology and tribal anthropology. And Indian anthropology and tribal anthropology is nothing but application of the same biological anthropology, linguistic anthropology, and Socio-cultural anthropology, the same topics are applied to the Indian context in the paper 2. Entire paper 2, Indian anthropology, tribal anthropology is nothing but applying the concept which I have already read as part of the paper 1 into paper 2. Okay, so broadly this is the orientation of anthropology as a subject. I can confidently say it's one of the most fascinating subjects. I easily get bored, otherwise I would not get into this subject for, I cannot travel for so long, but still we keep learning so many things in anthropology. That's why I can confidently say you also will get equally excited about this optional subject. Again, it's not just about excitement, it's also about getting rank. You have come here not to become anthropologist, you have come here to clear anthropology exam. So there, of course, I'll try to assure, I've already said, my whatever the number of ranks I have produced, and this year we have 6 classroom students writing mains. Okay, so hopefully at least half of them or more number of them should also be getting ranks. So every year consistently classroom students are getting interview calls and ranks. So yes, and I have some more time, 5 to 10 minutes of time. If anyone wants to ask any specific questions about anthropology optional subject, I'll be more than happy to address them for you. Because you all have, you would have some apprehensions, you know, you would have heard certain things. Integrated with GS, very good. I'll answer that, then I'll go to the next part of it. Integration with GS, that's very important, that I should have addressed that. Entire anthropology, every single chapter of anthropology, the very point with which I have started my class today is study of humans, isn't it? Sociology covers only one part of, I teach sociology also. So with that experience I am saying, not now, in the past I used to teach a bit of sociology also. Sociology focuses more on social institutions. That's it. I read a lot of sociology also because somehow I got fascinated about the subject. Whereas anthropology has political anthropology, religious anthropology, linguistic anthropology, archaeological anthropology. If you read anthropology, I'll come paper wise, main syllabus wise, which because prelims is only limited syllabus, mains is more exhaustive. First part of your main syllabus, GS1. Okay, actually it will take a lot of time for me, but I'll just finish it off in 3 minutes. Listen carefully. GS1, you have world history, you have art and architecture, you have post-independent Indian consolidation, isn't it? And of course, a little bit of ancient, medieval, modern India. Archaeological anthropology does a lot of the study, right? Indus Valley civilization, Vedic civilization, all these things are already covered in archaeological anthropology. You got my point? Then let's take Indian society. That one subject which scares most of the students. General Studies 1. For an anthropology student, you need not study Indian society at all. Take Indian society syllabus, take anthropology syllabus, put side by side. 95% of the topics are covered. 95% of the topics. Only thing which is not covered specifically is what is that? Diversity of India. Is the only part that is not specifically mentioned in anthropology syllabus. But whole anthropology is about diversity only, right? The very purpose of the anthropology subject is not just to understand origin and evolution, but also to understand the diversity, why humans look different, why social institutions are different. They may not have mentioned the word. I'm saying 95% syllabus mention. 5% is more than covered because anthropology, the very purpose of anthropology is diversity. Done. GS1. Then geography is what you study in GS1. Post-independent Indian consolidation also you have. Post-independent Indian consolidation. In anthropology, we have something called as village studies. In anthropology, paper 1, we have something called as village studies. We also have something called as caste system. We also have something called as, study of the agrarian system. The agrarian system, the caste system, the village studies, which we do as part of anthropology, that kind of covers more than 40 to 50% of the post-independent Indian consolidation. In fact, sociology also deals with the same topics, but in anthropology also we deal with most of these 3 things. You got my point? So that is one aspect. Now, world history. World history as a concept does not exist in anthropology, but when you open your world history textbooks, or if you see the PYQs of the world history, you will find topics like enlightenment, modernism, and things like liberty, value, justice, fraternity. These are the kind of things which are the ideological basis of the world history, is what you study largely as part of the world history. World history also has another historical aspects. They are very much part of the anthropological thought. In anthropological thought, only when you have understanding of what is modernity, what you call science, what is scientific thinking, which is covered in world history, is substantially covered also in anthropology. Let's go to paper 2. Polity, constitution, governance, comparative constitution, international relations. There is no international relations in sociology or anthropology. In both places there is no international relations. International relations is something, maybe you should take PSIR option, you will get international relations. But take other parts of the subject. Governance. What governance is about? Poverty. Governance also is about various institutions, right? Like how NGOs work, how charity organization works, how donor organizations works, how public-private partnerships works, how various social accountability tools like citizen charter, right to information, whatnot, all these things do work. Anthropology, we have a whole idea called as tribal anthropology. Tribal anthropology. Tribal anthropology is about tribal governance. I can say with all the confidence, because in your governance also there is a separate segment called as vulnerable institution, vulnerable sections. In vulnerable sections, you read again the same tribals, same Dalits. Everything is part of anthropology syllabus. Go and check anthropology paper 2, part B syllabus, tribal anthropology. And in governance, you do the things very, very superficially. Because governance faculty anywhere will be given 30 hours or maximum 30 hours to deal with it. So in 30 hours, what they can cover is kind of less. But in tribal anthropology alone, we do for 50-60 hours. Not 60 hours, around 40-50 hours. Specifically on one vulnerable society like tribals in part B of anthropology, and Dalits in part A of paper 2 anthropology, we deal with so much depth. So your governance part, especially that vulnerable sections part, is covered substantially in anthropology. Then in anthropology syllabus, we have something called as 5th schedule, 6th schedule, article 370. You have wonderful topics like ethnicity, then nation state. These are all, I wish I have the syllabus displayed, but in the next session I'll try to ensure that syllabus is, all these things has a great amount of overlap with your fundamental rights, with overlap with your evolution of the constitution, with certain topics like 5th schedule in the constitution, 6th schedule in the constitution. You need to have a lot of depth to it. So I can say there is a great amount of overlap with your general studies 2 also. Coming to general studies 3. I'll start with internal security. Internal security, 80% of the syllabus of internal security you can appreciate well only when you have good understanding of anthropology. Because Naxalism is one topic which is dealt in depth and detail in internal security. Any student of anthropology has good conceptual clarity over the topic called as Naxalism. Then other aspects like communalism in the society, all this we read as part of the internal security issues will be covered with a lot of depth in anthropology. Then another thing which you have as part of this GS3 economy is this agriculture related economy. In anthropology, we have 2 whole chapters on agrarian relations, agriculture economy, how agriculture evolved over time, land reforms, all these kind of things. So again, there is a lot of overlap. And in science and technology, you have something called as biotechnology. We also cover a good amount of biotechnology, good amount of genetics, likewise. So like that, substantial part of economy is covered, science and technology is covered, internal security is covered, maybe disaster management we don't have in anthropology. For that matter, any other optional subject does not have a specific thing like disaster management. Let's come to ethics. Ethics again, you go and check last 5 years, every year they give 6 ethics case studies, 30 case studies. Out of the 30 case studies, not less than 12 to 15 case studies have direct anthropological understanding. Like, I'll give an example. Development versus environment. Which is important, development or environment? No other optional subject deals with this concept with so much depth as anthropologists does. Likewise, even organizational dynamics. So these kind of case studies are very easy for an anthropology student to attempt and go ahead with. So you got my point. So there is overlap with ethics. Coming to essay. Essay is now, if you have seen last 5-year essays, it's all about reflective topics. They would give notice that it is the stiffest tree that gets easily cracked, but the bamboo or willow survives the wind. Or they would just give courage is not just absence of fear, but justification that something else is. They'll give some random quotation and you have to interpret that. So ability to interpret is core of anthropology. Anthropology is not one subject where you dump facts or you have to recollect facts. Lot of analysis. Just in this 1 hour session, you would have seen so much analysis, so much interpretation, so much original thought. So when you build the skills naturally, yes, for an anthropology student, essay is a natural outcome. You build a lot of historical knowledge, you build a lot of knowledge about how society has evolved over time. All this should come very much handy in writing your essays. I personally believe among all the optional subjects, different people have different claims. In my opinion, anthropology has the most complementarity than any of the optional subject if it is taught well. If it is taught well, there is no other optional subject. Other subjects are not even close. I might sound exaggerated, but because I know the authenticity of anthropology, I know what kind of depth I take students into the class. With that confidence, I am saying no other optional subject takes students into your general studies complementarity as anthropology does. You can stay assured on that front. Okay, yes. Understood, ma? Yes. Any other? No. Mine is anthropology, obviously. I read sociology just out of my personal curiosity because there are some topics in sociology which has overlap with anthropology. I thought my anthropology knowledge will get further deepened and I did study of it. Okay. It's also a wonderful optional subject. Yeah. Mine is the third highest mark in anthropology. When I cleared in 2014-15, I got 267 if I am not wrong, 267. Back then they used to not give so many 300s. Highest scores will be somewhere around 270s to 80s. Mine, according to me, yeah, third highest in anthropology at that point of time. Sources for my classroom, I would encourage students only to read my source. My class notes is quite exhaustive. The handout I give, and I write a lot of content on board. That yes, I'll dictate some notes. I'll write on the board. I'll dictate some notes, and what do you call? I'll be giving a handout. I'll be giving a classroom discussion. I put a lot of slides and all that also I'll be. So that should be ideally more than sufficient. And I'll be giving access to 50 hours of PYQ classes. 50 hours of PYQ recordings also I'll be giving at the end of the module. During the course of the module also we will be discussing PYQs, but slightly more analytically deeper PYQs I'll give at the end of the session. In the app, I'll get them added. Once you're done with your classes, you can watch those 50 hours of PYQ recordings also. Yes. Any other doubts? All good? Sure? Okay. That side, no doubts? Like, right. Then I'll call it a day. And my best wishes to you all. Probably if I think that we haven't finalized the dates yet, but maybe in a couple of weeks the sessions will start. I'll try to take one more orientation session because, you know, today I thought let me not overwhelm you with too much subject and all. I just want you to be familiarized with this particular optional subject. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.